Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, my other host, right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts.
Please subscribe. We're heading towards 500. Please. But we're talking NFL playoff football. We're talking Eagles. We're talking Rams. We're talking bad weather games, question mark? Because we got into a little bit of a heated text exchange arguing about whether these snow games are good or not. And I'm on the side where I'm like, I want to see fun, battles in the tundra. I want to see bad weather football. That's peak football weather.
And I think it sucks. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to see that. I want to see these peak athletes compete like on the best stage. I want them to have like their best foot forward. And when we have these snow games, it's just kind of bullshit because the defense is out there slipping and sliding. Offense, I mean, we've seen earlier this year Christian McCaffrey get hurt in the Buffalo Bills snow game with the San Francisco 49ers. And I just don't want that. I just want these guys to be able to go out there and just let everything all on the field, not have to worry about like stupid things like, okay, if I just misstep one time, my knee is going to get blown out or my ankle's gone or like a blown coverage happens and completely flips the game on its head. I think that's stupid. I think that it should realistically, I think everything should be played in a dome when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, it's fun during the regular season. I'm more than fine with that. I'm fine with them heavy rain games, snow games, whatever, like during the regular season. When it gets to the like playoffs, hey, dome up. Like, let's go ahead and get after this. With that being said, it was a couple of good games on Saturday or on Sunday.
Well, I just want to say we'll wrap up this stadium talk, but I think I'm someone it adds to the ambiance of the game. Like it just adds to the thrill, it adds to the storyline, the legacy of what could happen. I told you it's like saying I don't want to watch a scary movie with the lights off. Like I want to be in that vibe. It's like I'm gonna drink a mimosa, but not at brunch. Like what are we doing? They just enhance the other. So
It
that's
doesn't
all I'm
enhance
saying.
the other.
It's like,
It doesn't enhance the other though. If we're gonna be completely
oh, it was
real,
exciting.
all
It was
everything
exciting.
goes fucking out the window. There's no sort of skill. It's just okay. Who can really drill on the longest cleats at the end of the day? Like that's it.
I mean, you better have a good equipment manager.
Yeah, I mean, but ultimately, like
Brady
it
did.
should just be. I wanted to see the best teams and the best athletes on the field performing at their peak. But that's just. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a football fan, you know.
I don't know. You guys let us know. You guys let us know how you feel about these snow games. But the Rams, Jared Verse, he is going to be a future defense player of the year. Like he is dominant. He looked great in this game, and I will say, two thumbs down. Two big dudes. Did you see? There was these guys that did the Costco guys boom in an airport, and they got kicked out.
Oh, no. That's the
Like
worst
this
place to boom.
booms, and then it cuts to them getting talked to by security. Like, you guys cannot do that, and they're like, you don't know the Costco guys,
I mean, that's the worst place you boom.
guys. Don't boom in airports.
How about when they had the basketball court in Indy, and someone was like, "Oh, but when I yell open shooter in this airport." Oh
What was I
god.
talking about? I think this is two games in a row in the playoffs where the Eagles they kind of gave the other team a lot of opportunities to get back in it and potentially win it. Like I feel like both games they should have pulled away more than they did, and they just kept leaving the door open for these other teams. And you're right, if it isn't snowing, like does Matthew Stafford drive down and score a touchdown on that drive? Does he even get in that position where he has to drive down at the end because he was making it happen, but wide receivers are dropping the balls. Kyron Williams, the ball slipping out of his hand. Like I could see where you're coming from that on the weather side, but they both had to play in the same conditions. So
And I mean, at the same time, like, what if Jalen Hurts doesn't get his leg rolled up on? I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just all these things that kind of snowball. I just don't. I think the weather adds to it. It adds to the risk of injury. I would much rather see this played in a dome. I think that would be better. But I mean, to each their own as far as like each team has decided, hey, this is how we're going to move forward with it. And you're right. And we talked off pod, it's home field advantage. But when it comes to this game, they did. I mean, the Eagles left a lot of room for there to be someone. Please take this. Like, someone else take this. And I don't know. I forgot who was on the call, but they were like, hey, for both teams, like, why didn't they go into more of a hurry up mode early? That was the, like, Rubik's Cube solving moment for each of these teams when they went into hurry up. Well, for the Eagles, more towards like when Jalen Hurts wasn't hurt. But for the Rams specifically, when they went into a hurry up, the defensive line for the Eagles had no time to switch. They got tired super fast, and they were able to kind of dink and dunk it all over the field, and that was opening up opportunities for the Rams. When it came to, the Eagles, I don't know what they're going to have to do with like Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts going to be 100% healthy? I mean, he was limping walking off the field afterwards. So it still looked like it's going to affect him. If I know anything, I think that he's going to be sore for the next couple of days at least. But he was a detriment to that Eagles team. He is so lucky that Saquon Barkley bailed him out and just had big run after big run after big run.
Yeah, and at the end of the game, even when that safety happened, you were like, "Oh, Jalen Hurts is not the guy right now," because he would normally get out of the pocket and throw that away, but it looked like he was a statue back there. He had to take that sack, and you could tell it really affected him. He's starting to loosen up after a while and roll out a little bit, but you could tell it wasn't the same. And that's why the Rams defense kind of locked in a little bit towards the end. I think where the Rams really lost this game, where I was like, this shit is not going to go their way today. At the end, going into the halftime, they have the Eagles on like a 3rd and 14, backed up in like their end zone, and they blitz and give up a screen first down to Saquon. And that's where I'm like, guys, I know this has worked for you. This is your thing. You're being aggressive. You blitz these guys, but you have them backed up right where you want them. You're going to double dip. You're going to score at least a field goal, and then you're going to get the ball at half. Just play a soft zone and like get off the field. And I think that's, a fact of their, first year defense coordinator getting a little too, happy there, a little too excited, being like, oh, let's make a big statement play here, when it's like, there's so little they can do in that moment to beat you. And you're going to give up one of like the easier plays for them to beat you there.
Yeah. And it was just little things like that that just added up to an Eagles win moving forward. But I mean, one of the things, again, Saquon Barkley is just another type of human. He is just on a whole nother level compared to the rest of the running backs in the league. I think that this should be an even bigger indictment on the New York Giants and how poorly run they were over the last couple of years, for this guy to just kind of be able to go to a division opponent and continue to put up the numbers that he's put up, and then to do it in the biggest stage that he's ever been in. Like, that's insane, dude. I mean, I sent you the video of him, like, it's a close up of Saquon Barkley, and he's telling Jalen Hurts on that last run, watch this. And then he goes 70, like, he houses it. Like, this guy is just on a completely different level, but they are going to need Jalen Hurts moving forward. Jalen Hurts has not performed well in this playoffs up until this point. I don't know what they're going to have to do, if he is even going to be healthy, because you're right. In that back half of that game, he was a detriment. I was like, dude, are they going to have to put in Kenny Pickett at this point? He was a statue. Eventually, yeah, he got like loose enough to where he was able to roll out to one side, but he's not going to be able to do this against this Washington Commanders team moving forward. He's got to figure it out. And from the like standpoint of like coaching, I mean, Kellen Moore was coaching his ass off. I mean, he was doing things that, I mean, hey, what are you comfortable with? Tell me like exactly what you can do, and I will dial it up, and we will kind of keep things rolling. And you could see like when he first got hurt, they were afraid to even like hand the ball off. Could he make it to the spot? Like, so kudos to Kellen Moore kudos to Nick Sirianni, who, by all means had been seen as a clown last season after they like go out the way they have, but this team has continued to just improve week after week and keep moving forward. And my hats off to them. I think that they are a top tier coaching staff.
Yeah, and Drew Lock's cap hit for the Giants was $2 million more than Saquon's cap hit this year. So again, Giants glad that they got this guy off their books. They don't have to pay a bunch of money to a running back in a dead position. So good for them. By the way, a little sidebar. Uh, I'm putting all my money on anytime touchdown in the Puppy Bowl. Saquon Barkley. Putting
Ooh.
anytime touchdown Saquon Barkley. He's going for it. But yeah, as far as this Eagles roster, yeah, Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio have been the difference for this team. And I don't know if it is so much, let's reward Sirianni for what he's done. Yeah, but let's face it, he had to cut his two coordinators last season. He brings in two, a really established guy with Vic Fangio and a guy in Kellen Moore who's been around the block, who's really been kind of a head coach candidate for a while, but borderline. And they've really helped turn this team around. This is basically the same roster, adding Saquon Barkley. And on the defense side of the ball, they hit on Zach Bond. Like, this guy is all over the fucking field. Like, this guy went from a special teams guy to an all pro. And he has been huge for that defense. And then you take the Jalen Carter, who they were able to, keep the off field stuff in check enough for him to become this guy. And he's wrecking plays at the end of the game. He's kind of the reason that they sealed the deal at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think him. Also, you can't overlook the impact that Cooper DeJean has made on this defense. Darius Slay even said, like, "Hey, like, I was cool with Stafford up until he started to test me towards the end of the game, and I had to show him what was up, and he came up with some big plays." I mean, realistically, this is a loaded roster. Howie Roseman has done a very, very good job as far as putting these pieces together, and you do have to. I mean, we can't downplay like Nick Sirianni being able to build up this coaching roster on his own. I mean, because the Eagles did task him with this last offseason. They said, "Hey, if you're going to be here and you're going to be the guy, we need to know that people actually want to work with you." And he went out there and he got two of the best coaching candidates out there, and they decided to work with him. So there's something to that. Say what you want about the guy. I mean, he wins.
Yeah, and I will say this though, looking forward a little bit, if Jalen Hurts plays like this, Jane Daniels and that Washington Commanders team could beat this Eagles team. I think this game really, if the Commanders don't fall apart and look like, oh, was a rookie wall, a rookie quarterback, the team's ahead of schedule. Like, if they just continue to play how they've been playing, then this game's a toss up for me going into it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Jalen Hurts is going to be like the story. I mean, I thought that he was going to be the deciding factor this game. Saquon Barkley just carried, and he didn't have to be that. But he cannot roll out another performance like this. It's insane that we're having this. He threw for what, 125, 132, like somewhere around that range. He's not going to be able to do that against this Washington Commanders team. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it's another dumbass snow game, and like all the weather like affects how these wide receivers run, and it is just going to be like, because they did earn home field advantage. You know what I mean? And maybe that is going to be, hey, if it's going to be a storm all through next week, we're just going to rely on the run. And guess what? We have the most important guy in Saquon Barkley back here.
Well, you guys let us know in the comments how you
Oh,
feel.
hold
about
on. To go to the Rams side, it seemed like, hey, this is a surprise Rams team that came up. But now you're going to have question marks as far as what do we do moving forward? Cooper Kupp, I don't know why this is the question. Cooper Kupp already said, like, yes, I will be playing football next year. Like, he's not retiring. But he said, I don't know if I'm going to be playing in Los Angeles. Do you
And
go
if the
out
Rams
and
are
get another
smart,
guy?
if the Rams are smart, they do not bring Cooper Kupp back. They just underutilize him. He's out there, calling him the Tony Snell of the NFL. He's just out there running. just getting minutes, no stats.
There's a guy that is upset with his team right now that if we know the track record of the Rams, they will say fuck them picks and they will go out and get this guy. Tyreek Hill. What if Tyreek Hill? I mean, that is the perfect place for him. They play in a dome. It's Los Angeles. It's not like Cleveland or anything like that. It is in the NFC, so it's out of their division. I think that's something to watch out for moving forward because we know this Rams team will be aggressive. They will be like, yeah, we don't care about picks. We'd rather have a top end talent in Tyreek Hill.
Trust in Tyreek to not get arrested in LA.
He only had the one dust up in Miami this season for the most.
So what?
he's a good man for the most part.
For the most part. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what they're going to do because I think watching Puka in this game, like he was grimacing. Like you could tell he was banged up and he was dropping some balls. And I think he wasn't the same. He definitely was feeling it at the end of the season. And you can't be like every game we're going to throw it to him 12 to 15 times. And he's going to be our Debo Samuel. Like look at Debo. Debo's body is not the same anymore. And that's from just the abuse of being the guy every week. So they need help. It's not going to be this mishmash of Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson and like and a bunch of tight ends. They need to go get another guy. And I think they need to get a solid number 2 and then like a bunch of borderline 3-4 guys. So like give Stafford some options to take some off of Puka's plate.
100%. And I mean, yeah, you ended up getting Puka Nacua. Like that's awesome. You've got to go out there. You've got to continue to hit that pickaxe and mine some diamonds out of this coal. You know what I mean?
And I say even get a second running back. Like
Kyren Williams, yeah.
Let's get a guy that can rotate with Kyren Williams because like he's good. Don't get me wrong. A little bit of fumbling problem as we just saw, but he's another like him and it's the Kyren Williams and Puka show every week, and you just can't in today's NFL. They're talking about expanding 18 weeks. Like you cannot in this modern NFL have 2 guys carry the workload week in and week out like that. Like you need to mix it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm both excited because I know the possibilities with this Rams team, but it's also like they could just be like, fuck it, we'll just take the status quo. We weren't expecting this. We'll just build off of it and go through the draft, which I mean, they did draft really well this year, but it's like we know that they have that propensity to be like, we know how we have a small window. Realistically, we don't know how long Sean McVay is going to stay our coach because he just wants to like take off for some reason. We don't know how long Matthew Stafford is going to be our quarterback. We need to capitalize on this window now.
Yeah, well, now you guys let us know in the comments how you felt about this loss for the Rams and the win for the Eagles, and we're going to see you next time.
Later.